Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 13 after 8 o'clock. And on Monday at a press conference in Mogadishu, the United States humanitarian chief Martin Griffiths said that he had concrete indications that famine would occur in parts of south central Somalia between the months of October and December this year. It is a very, very dire prediction, and this comes after his visit to Baidoa in southwest state of Somalia, the area of the country worst affected by the current drought, which is ravaging East Africa. A very, very worrying situation indeed. And as I was reading the details of this press conference, the one thing that went through my mind is just look at the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is, we have severe floods in Pakistan, and now we hear of another Muslim country that has severe drought. So, Ya Allah, what is going on, and how do we, as the Ummah, not only help the flood victims of Pakistan, but how do we come to the aid of our brothers and sisters in Somalia? Let's talk about the situation closer to home. And Brother Aamir Sheikh, chairperson of the Somali Community Board in South Africa, is here to talk to us about it. Assalamu alaikum to you, dear Brother Aamir Sheikh. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, Sister Julie Ali, to you and to your listeners. I'm most welcomed.
A worrying situation, is it not? And I mean, it's not the first time that we hear about droughts in that part of the world. How worried are you as a Somali community, not only in South Africa, but the entire Somali diaspora all around the world? And what is it that the community is doing to try and help our brothers and sisters in Somalia?
Sister Julie, first of all, Jazakallah khairan for giving us the opportunity to highlight actually the plight of the Somalis, especially the drought-stricken Somalis in some part of Somalia. As you have clearly said, it is a qudrat of Allah that one part of the world actually is now actually overflooding. With our brothers in Pakistan, actually now, many dead and many actually uprooted from actually their community because of the monsoon rains. In part of actually the Horn of Africa, it is actually drought, which is now actually turning to a famine. And millions actually, uprooted from their communities or lost everything they had, and now running actually for survival, walking towards the main city. It's not the first time actually you have said in Somalia. Recently, a President Sheikh Hassan Mahmoud was elected for a second term in office, and the first thing he did was to appoint a special envoy on humanitarian assistance. And the envoy is now actually have been doing a lot. And I think through the assistance of the Somali in the diaspora, the Somalis who are wealthy in the and Muslim communities, considering the fact that in 2011 we had a similar situation of which the South African government, through the intervention of 8 organizations that included the Somali Board, Al-Imdad Foundation, the Gift of the Givers, Islamic Relief, African Muslim Agency, among others, have contributed net less than 28 million in aid relief to Somalia. And I think we are putting another appeal to them to also consider the plight of the Muslims, and thank Salam Media for actually highlighting the plight of our brothers. So truly, this is actually a time we need one another, because as by the saying of the Prophet, we are actually one body. And if one part is actually inflicted with pain, the whole body actually felt it. So the pain of Somali is a pain that is actually felt by the entire global Muslims in the world, as far also by humanity. And I hope the South African organizations that are now even based in Somalia, the likes of African Muslim Agency, the likes of actually Islamic Relief Worldwide, and Gift of Givers will highlight more on this, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, and that's what we're here for, to help each other through all forms and sorts of difficulties. Now, I also understand that people in Kenya, Ethiopia, and of course Somalia are struggling to put food on the table. The UN World Food Programme has estimated that 22 million people in the region are at risk of severe hunger. We also know that the causes of this crisis are complex and show no signs of getting better. What is being done currently? You have indicated that people have been uprooted. They migrating to to the cities because there's nothing left to do on, on their farms because of the drought. Their cattle have died off. The crops have dried up. There's nothing to harvest. Um, what is being done and what can be done further to help people get started up again, because they've lost absolutely everything. And all of these organizations that you've alluded to, we do know they'll be there at the right time. Possibly they're there as we speak. They're going to be handing out food parcels, etc. Some of those very organizations will also help the Somali people to start from afresh, to give them the skills, to give them the tools, to give them the resources to start all over again. But it's a very, very costly venture, is it not?
No, indeed it is. And the thing that can be done, first of all, we need to acknowledge that this is actually due to a failed reason, as you alluded. For 4 seasons, there was actually no rain in this part of actually that you mentioned, in most part of the Horn of Africa, including Kenya. So there is a lot actually that can be done and to save humanity, and not actually to see a picture actually that we have been seeing in the Horn for some time. I think is now the time to put Islam and humanity first and actually make sure that nobody actually starve on hunger in this 21st century, at least when technologically we are much advanced, and at least, and to also pray for them, because prayer is very key. It is only Allah that can alleviate actually this problem. We human can do our parts to actually make sure that no human in this 21st century actually died of hunger. But actually prayer is also key, so that at least these people can get rain and Allah blessing, so that at least they can actually go back to their farming and the animal herding and etc., so that they can sustain themselves.
Brother Aamir, do they in fact, you alluded to 2011 when Somalia was gripped in a similar situation. When the people leave their farms and go to the cities in search of work and food to feed their families, once the situation does improve, do they in fact go back to their lands and try to revive, cultivating the land and start their, the animal farming as well? Do they in fact go back? Is it a possibility?
Yes, to many who have actually life before that will actually go. But since 2011, we have seen actually the growth of internally displaced camps in many parts of actually the Mogadishu, which is now the capital. Yes, whereas the vast majority will go back to business, at least a large number will also remain in this internally displaced camp, because they may not actually have anything to restart their life with, and will actually depend on the handout that they get from government agencies and relief agencies actually in the country.
What is it that the South African Somali community are doing to assist? You have indicated the amazing organizations in the country that have been there for Somalia in the past and undoubtedly will be there once again. But what can you as a community be doing to better the situation of our brothers and sisters in Somalia?
Considering the fact that, the countries you mentioned are all Islamic countries, and the vast majority of the people affected in many parts of Kenya, in the northeastern and eastern part of Kenya, also in many parts of Ethiopia, in Sudan, in Somalia, are actually vast majority are Muslim. It affects us on a personal level, because these are relatives and family that are closer to us. So we need actually, the first intervention will actually to make sure that we assist those within our reach that are making actually an appeal or call to us, support the government through its special envoys, and also make sure that through our channels and through that we can actually reach, be it the government of South Africa, where we're now based, the Muslim communities and organizations that have even, some of them have actually now in Somalia from 2002, like the gift of the givers, when some part of Ale and Hafun was hit by tsunami, and actually the first intervention came from the Archbishop of Cape Town, Archbishop Mahoba, and the founder of the Gift of Giver, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, and who have been active assisting this fishing community from 2002 to date. And some that have actually set, camp in Somalia from 2011, and to the generous people of South Africa of all walks of lives and religion, and raised to actually also come to our aid. So there is actually a process which is now initiated by the board in partnership with actually the Islamic actually organization in the country. And our appeal will soon actually reach, inshallah ta'ala, the vast majority of South African and the government, because it's not only the people. The government had also played a very critical role, to a certain extent, even lending some military aircraft to the Gift of the Givers so that they could take an immediate needed relief to Somalia in 2011.
Alhamdulillah for that. In closing, then, we do know that the causes of this crisis are complex and don't show any signs of getting better. Uh, One of the reasons also is climate change, which is a key concern.
Sorry?
While climate change is a very key concern, there's also conflicts that has been playing out in Ethiopia and Somalia, along with the rise in food prices, as we all know, that has been caused by the war in the Ukraine. It's just made matters much, much worse for not only the people in Somalia, but people all around the world. So going forward, inshallah, you are aware of all of these mitigating or all of these factors that has added to the problem of the people of Somalia. How do the people then go forward? We do know that aid agencies are already working on how they're going to assist you. What more can be done?
No, a lot can be done, but if I actually also talk about the what you mentioned, the Horn of African countries, almost the 11 countries that make actually the Eastern Horn of Africa, have never enjoyed relative peace in that country. It's either political turmoil, if not political, it is actually, a sort of inter-conflict actually, or civil war. So the area have not actually enjoyed relative peace. And the fact of the matter, it's also one of the reasons why we are having this actually ravaging drought in the country. The climate change is actually a fact. And today the food prices have actually gone higher than expected, that to an extent that a 20 kg of rice that was 20 US dollar before actually the Ukraine-Russian war is now actually 80 US dollar in the market of Mogadishu, of which many cannot really afford. So there is a lot to be done, but I think our first priority at this time is to make sure that we save, because even if we save one life, it means that we have saved all humanity, so that at least no one die of hunger, not only in Somalia, but also in many areas of the Muslim world, that there is a problem. And we actually pray to Allah to actually remove this calamity from the Muslim, be it in Southeast Asia, be it in the Horn of Africa, or actually the Palestine, and all these actually countries that are actually now in sort of turmoil, inshallah. And we thank you also for your generous. Salam Foundation is also known to have been in Somalia and assisting actually, where they even adopted a children, a pediatrician actually ward, Mubarak, in actually southwest of the country in Baidoa. So the effort of South Africa is felt in many parts of the world, especially in the Muslim world, and we hope actually they will continue assisting in elevating the plight of the Muslim within their reach, inshallah.
Inshallah, Amin, Thumma Amin. Shukran very much for
Amen.
being with us on the show this morning. Brother Aamir Sheikh, chairperson of the Somali Community Board in South Africa. Duas and
Jazakallah.
salams to our brothers and sisters all around the world that are undergoing any form of strife whatsoever. We keep you all in our duas.
Ameen.
Go well. Salamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The time is exactly 8:27 a.m. Time for our next ad break. And as soon as we get back from that break, we're going to be joined by Hassan Lorgat, member of the PSA, talking to us about the killing of the Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh.